I can hear you.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Good evening.
May I know your name?
I'm Venkat calling from Gachibowli.
Hello, Venkat. So, what do you think of the show, Venkat?
Well, the show is entertaining in some parts and not so entertaining in some parts.
Okay.
What is really worth watching is the fact that so many people are fighting and they're trying to
Yes,
come
exactly.
together and they're trying to adjust to each other. That's the only point of contact. Normally, you won't find people of such different tastes and
Yes.
different ideologies and different kind of upbringing coming together under one roof. So the fact that all of them have to come together and try to do with each other, live for 100 days,
Okay.
that is something which is very interesting.
So, is it a sort of entertainment show?
It is of course categorized under entertainment.
Okay.
We are not yet got used to the idea that you would like to watch some people inside a house for so
Yes,
long,
yes.
for 100 days. What we do know is that we can see only the highlight of what is being shown. It's not a 24 by 7 recording of what happens in the house, or
Yes.
at least
Yes.
not in 12-hour recording. What we get to see is what the show producers want us to see.
Yes.
And usually to make the show entertaining, they try to include as many points of differences, fights and arguments, so that when you have an argument, the viewer naturally wants to see those arguments.
So,
That's the
Venkat,
reason why
yes. So, when do you start watching this show?
I started watching on the first day itself because there was a huge amount of publicity for the show, and there had been promos coming up for several weeks. And the fact that this is also the time of lockdown,
Okay.
and it was a day of off, so we started watching. And initially the response, initially the show was very tepid. There was not much activity. But as the show went on, and when we saw the fourth and fifth episode, we slowly got to know the contestants very well. And one important thing is none of the contestants are celebrities. And they're ordinary, of course, not too ordinary folks, but there are people who are in entertainment business, but not really top one or top tier actors or actresses.
So, do families watch this show, Venkat?
I think families certainly watch, and we as a family do watch it, and the kids also watch it. In terms of language, of course, unlike several other shows for people who go to online platforms where there is sex, there's violence, there is bad words used. At
Yes.
least on this show, what you get to see is usually a lot of fights.
Yes.
But fortunately, there are no bad words, and fortunately also, they do, the organizers and producers try to do append alleged romance between some of the contestants. But I think overall, the show has some kind of an voyeuristic value. I'm not saying it's a good show, but then to each his own. People who don't like it are disgusted by the idea of watching contestants and peeping into somebody's house, they can stay away. And as it is said in the entertainment world, you're free to watch or not watch, depending on what your taste is.
Okay. So, isn't it that bad, watching with kids, the show?
So, generally, my understanding of the situation has been that kids sometimes are amused by the way elders fight, because
Yes.
for the kids, this is a group of people which they see on television inside a house fight,
Yes.
and sometimes it amuses them, and probably they haven't gotten used to the idea that within the house, if the parents fight, perhaps they get to see this.
Exactly.
But on the screen, when you have people fighting and different set of people fighting, that's something very interesting for the kids. But also we have to remember that too much of fighting and too much of ego clashes and too much of bickerings,
Okay.
sometimes they can have a negative effect on the children, because in case the children are brought up to be well behaved, to be well mannered, if they do watch such shows, the chances of them thinking that this is the norm of behavior, this is how celebrities are, and this is how you become a celebrity is by having egos and clashing or silly issues, by taking a stand. It's possible that they may have the wrong impression of what it means to be a celebrity. So but again, it depends on the parents as to what sort of caution they exercise when they allow the kids to watch this particular show. Ultimately, it's the family which controls it, and just like any other entertainment show of value, parental control is a must. Parents, of course, need to explain to the children as to what is happening on the screen, because merely watching any show for entertainment is fine.
So it's being like 3 weeks, Mr. Venkat, right? So
yes,
at the end of the day, who will be the last 5 contestants in the show?
So that's a very good question, because my personal favorite would be either Akhil or Abhijit or Divi. I am strongly betting on this. Of course, Jordar Sujata also seems a pretty strong contestant.
Exactly.
She has a certain rawness.
Yes.
But then ultimately it depends on how the goes. Sujata, of course, is strong. She's
tough competitor.
Very stable. She's a tough competitor.
Yes.
And she's also a generally very aware person.
Yes.
Of course, sometimes people laugh at the way she giggles her way at awkward situations. But I think these 4 people are really strong contenders. But the top 2, I would say, would be certainly Divi or Sujata, or perhaps Abhijit.
Okay. So, today is the 3rd week of elimination.
Yes.
So,
the elimination is probably one person who has more chances of elimination is Mehboob.
Yes.
Because, of course, he is a big TikTok star, and he has produced a lot of videos. He's very popular among the younger generation. He has at least 1 lakh followers on his social media account. But unfortunately, he seems like a fish out of water on this particular show.
Yes.
Perhaps he still has, despite it being like the 3rd week, he still has not been able to find his foot there. He dances well. He's very polite. He keeps saying that he is a nice person on screen. He tries to do extra for everything. But we know these are the traits of a person who wants to be liked. And generally, such nice persons don't really make it a grade. He, of course, has an image problem in the sense that he seems forever lost. Initially, it was Divi who seemed out of touch with the happenings around her.
Yes.
But Divi is slowly getting around to what's happening and involving herself. Mehboob still seems lost, and he is probably more into a few people than generally. But another important contestant is, of course, Rajshekhar, because he seems a very entertaining person. But it depends on how much of entertainment he can sustain himself over the entire 100 days of the show.
So, finally, my question is, whom do you think the best host, either NTR, Nani, or Nagarjuna?
So it's very tough to decide. But generally, if we let us remove the public persona of this star, and let's take the fact that this is the role of a big boss. Having seen big bosses in Hindi and Marathi and also Kannada, my guess is the big boss is a person who, although he speaks from a distance, his voice is respected, and he's a chief whip master. So that way, although Junior NTR and Nani do have that strength in terms of presentation, the younger, but for a show such as Big Boss, you need a slightly mature person whose voice is obeyed and heard. And Nagarjuna certainly fits that way.
Yes. Right. Thank you so much, Venkat. Thank you so much for joining us.